So one of the questions I get asked all the time is, do I need a tech pack? And I'm going to give you the honest answer today. Maybe. So here's the thing. If you are going to manufacture domestically, wherever you are, I don't know where you are in the world, but if you're going to manufacture where you can go to the factory and you can be more hands-on, you might not need an elaborate tech pack. I mean, what is a tech pack? A tech pack is basically the information that you give a factory so they know how to make your whatever, your garment, whatever it is that you're making. So it will have things like measurements, fabrics that you're going to be using, the bill of materials. So any trims, any zippers, any buttons will be included in that. A sketch could include an actual garment, and that's actually the best, in fact. Like if you can provide a real, actual visual of something, that's better than any type of, measurements on a piece of paper will ever do. I write about this in my book, Fashion Brand Secrets, that's coming out in the next few months, but I do write about that. I do write that that is really the best thing if you can give them a sample. Now, if you made a sample locally, for instance, say you did make a sample, you worked with a sample maker, you worked hands-on, there was no tech pack, there was nothing. You said, this is what I want to make, and you just kind of figured it out together, and she created a pattern. Now you have your pattern, right? So you would want to send that garment, whatever you made, to the factory so they have that. So at least they have a visual. Because if you're just sending them a piece of paper with a sketch, with measurements, with fabrics that are needed and trims that are needed, and nothing further, there are so many ways they can interpret that sketch and those measurements, and it depends on, especially when you're making fashion items, maybe you want the shoulders to be out more. Maybe you want it to be a very high cut under the arm. You don't want to drop, or maybe you want a big dolman sleeve. Those are the things. So if without any type of visual reference, or even a drape, if you could give them like a drape, if you could drape the fabric and sew up part of it, or if there's a certain detail that you are trying to convey to the factory, it's great if you can you make that detail? Can you buy that detail? Can you, buy something from vintage? Can you buy something from a retail store that, is current, that has a certain detail that you want? Like, the more information that you could give this factory, the better a result that you're going to get. So, do I need a tech pack? It depends on the factory. It's like the factory can tell you what level of detail they need. Like there is a great a video on YouTube that I should link it below, that someone goes over a tech pack. Now she goes over an extensive 15 to 20 page tech pack. Like, it's crazy. But that's what, some factories demand, that level, and some big companies will run at that level. Like companies like the Gap or what, like they're running at that level where they're going to send this elaborate tech pack to a factory, but you don't need that in the beginning. And if a factory needs that level of detail, probably isn't the best fit. For instance, I had something made recently. I sent it over to China. I didn't even send them a tech pack. I had some like scribbled measurements of some sort, and the actual bag that I was making. I sent them the bag. I said, this is the bag that I want. So they were able to, because they had the physical sample, they didn't need the tech pack. You know what I'm saying? So it all depends on what you're going to give the factory. Now, if you're making, anybody that's doing any type of, print on demand or like hoodies, or like, you don't need a tech pack for that. You know what I'm saying? Like unless you're designing your own hoodie and it's a completely different specifications, then yes, then you do need to give them measurements. So, and the thing is, like, if you don't really know what you're doing, you do need a tech pack, then I would say you definitely need to outsource to what's called a technical designer. And these designers specifically, this is what they do. They're called a technical designer. And what they will do is they will create a tech pack for you. But it isn't, I know that a lot of people that talk to me, they're just like, it just seems like this is like foreign concept. And like, what is this? All it is, dimensions, what are the fabrics needed, any type of visual references, any sketches, and then obviously to go along to accompany this would be any type of, physical reference, a physical sample. And again, just to recap, it all depends on your factory, the level of detail that they require. And again, if you can give them, I know I'm repeating myself, but really, if you can give them something physical, it's going to ensure your success. Because what will happen is if you don't do that, and as much detail as you give them is as much as you're going to get back. So if you don't give them all the detail and they're filling in the blanks because they're not asking questions, because a lot of factories will not always ask questions, you have to know that they'll just assume or make a judgment call on the spot, and all of a sudden you get a sample back and you're like, ew, what is this? And it is the most gut-wrenching, disappointing thing that you go through when you get a sample and it isn't what you envisioned. So you don't want to go through that. So it's super, super important. Just try to send them a physical piece. Anyway, that's what I have. Now, the next question I get asked a lot is, how do I find a manufacturer? So you're going to want to watch the next video for that one. What qualifies me to talk about this to you on YouTube today is, my name's Angela Taylor George. I ran a fashion brand for 22 years. I had a showroom for 10 years where I represented designers, and I ushered many brands into the world, with my repping agency. We actually, the first baby tee, we launched the first baby tee ever in my showroom. The brand was called Tease Tease. So I've had a retail store, I've been a buyer, I've been around the block a couple of times, and I really want to help you get started in your fashion journey. So stick with me and let's go on this ride together. See you in the next video.